To begin our section on potential energy, let's do an example of what happens when we're using the work kinetic energy theorem on a more complicated situation. Here I want to calculate the work done by gravity on this seal that's sliding down a straight hill. We might want to do this to see how fast he's moving at the bottom, and the work kinetic energy theorem would be a good way to do it. If we ignore frictional forces, there are only two major forces acting on the seal: gravity and the normal force of the hill on the seal. The seal is sliding a distance delta x down the hill in this direction. So we need to calculate the work done by gravity and the normal force. Luckily for us, since the normal force is 90 degrees from the direction of motion, it does no work. So all we have is the work of gravity is the force of gravity mg times the displacement delta x times the cosine of the angle between the two, which ends up being exactly the same angle as the top of this triangle. So with that, we can easily calculate the kinetic energy, the speed, at the bottom. But now what happens if the hill is sloped like this? Gravity is still the same, but the angle between gravity and the direction of travel is changing the entire way down, so we can't use this formula as is. So let's go back and see if we can figure out a way to calculate the work done by gravity without that angle. Now, we might notice that delta x here is the hypotenuse of the triangle. And remembering our trigonometry, the hypotenuse times the cosine of an angle gives us the adjacent side. In that case, that means this side right here, which is the difference between the initial and final heights. So we can replace this in the equation with this. Note that now we can calculate the work done by gravity without the angle. So we can use this way of calculating the work even if the hill is curved and the angle isn't constant. All we have to know is the mass, gravity, and the difference in heights. It turns out that this is a much easier way to calculate the work done by gravity in most cases. In fact, this value, mass times g times the height, is so useful that it's given its own name, potential energy. We say that something has potential energy if it has the capacity to do work because of where it is. In this case, because of its position in the gravitational field. If it's in a position where gravity can give it energy, such as being at a height, we say it has potential energy. There are different types of potential energy, but gravitational potential energy is the only one that we'll be seeing this semester. So, recapping here a bit. If we want to use the work kinetic energy theorem with the work done by gravity, it's useful to replace that with a negative difference in what we call potential energy. That's often easier to calculate in this way than to use other methods. In practice, this equation is often rearranged to look like this, so that the initial kinetic energy and potential energy are on one side, and the final kinetic energy and potential energy are on the other side. Let's take a look at an example using this new technique. In the simulation, we have a skater. If I bring the skater up to a height, I'm giving him potential energy. The higher he is, the more potential energy he has. These bar charts will show the amount of potential energy and kinetic energy, as well as the total energy, the two of them added together. If I turn on the simulation, the skater accelerates down the track, gaining kinetic energy, but note what happens when he gets to the bottom. He's lost his height, and therefore he's lost his potential energy, but he's gained an equal amount of kinetic energy. If I pause him halfway up the slope, note that he's gained potential energy and he's lost kinetic energy. Now note what the total energy, the sum of the two, is doing. It's staying the same. The skater is exchanging potential energy for kinetic energy on the way down, and vice versa on the way up, but the total is staying exactly the same. So we've seen here that the total amount of kinetic energy plus gravitational potential energy stays exactly the same. We call this the total mechanical energy, and we say it's conserved. In physics, conserved means that the amount stays the same. If there are no outside forces giving or taking away energy from the object, total mechanical energy is conserved. So, recapping here, if we're trying to calculate the energy that gravity gives to an object, we can use either the work done by gravity or conservation of mechanical energy equation. They are equivalent. Use one or the other. Do not try to mix them. So, before coming to class, you should be able to define potential energy, calculate the potential energy of an object at a certain height, and calculate the total mechanical energy of an object.